Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today I'm going to be continuing another itty bitty knit kit that I got from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are doing another itty bitty knit kit. I've got a bunch of these lined up. I am weaving them in and out with all the other videos that I'm doing on this channel. So next we have Ice Cream Sammy. This was a viewer request. Most of them actually are right now. I'm really appreciative to all the subscribers that really want to know or need help on these, and I'm really trying to punch them out for you guys. But yeah, these are requests. If you have any requests, you can comment below and I'll throw it onto my list, my ever so growing list. So I really appreciate the patience that you're giving me, and hopefully I'll be able to return by helping you guys out. So these kits are I think they're $4, at least online. I've bought them online and then I've bought them in person. I don't remember which ones were online versus at the store, and I don't know like with taxes and everything, but anyway, very good kit for the price that you get, but it is kind of confusing, so it's great to kind of have these supplemental videos. So if you do want to make these kits, I highly recommend that you either find them online or in store and get them, because I will go over new stitches at least 3 times step by step, and then I can talk through the instructions if there's anything kind of confusing. But otherwise, to really get the whole pattern, you know, you have to get the kit. Alright, so this is done by Bright Stripes. You can go on their website. They are not selling these kits, but it is made by Bright Stripes. Okay, so this is what we're getting in the kit. So this is going to be more involved in the other kits that I've received, only because we've got a lot of stuff going on here. So I love ice cream sandwiches. Yes, I said that. Comment below if you like ice cream sandwiches and which brand you like. I'm kind of, you know, I'm pretty easy. Just give me an ice cream sandwich and I'll probably like it. So in this kit, you get the instructional booklet. I just pulled out this packet that's probably filled with the stuffing and accessories. We've got our little sandwich cookie, our cookie for the sandwich. We've got our yarn, and then in the paper packet, it's usually the needles, the plastic and the knitting needles, and like I said, the stuffing. We got white needles this time. I think I've got a million of the greens and reds and pinks, and there might be other colors that I've received from other kits, but nice to see a different color, because I have all of them. You know, if there's ever a time, maybe in a giveaway or something, I might give all these extra needles away, throw them in, like throw in a pair, you know, I don't know. Alright, so in here we've got the, like I said, the plastic needle, the stuffing. I'm gonna put this back because I don't want any debris to go in it. The 2 knitting needles. I don't know what sizes they are. I should probably figure out someday, but we get a little pipe cleaner, and then we get the felt stickers. What is this? Okay, this is going to be the feet, and these are the eyes and mouth. There's stickers. This is stickers. This is nothing. It's just felt. You have to sew it on as the feet. Stickers, you can always embroider the edges for a more secure hold. I'm not, you know, these are just for the video. I'm not giving them away or anything. I mean, I'm not giving them to children, at least, because I don't like the felt. It could come off, you know, and I'm not sewing them on there. I'm not a sewer. Alright, and then we've got the cookies. These are all perforated, so there's little dots that you're going to see on here when you get your kit. And it's going to be guidelines to where you put the needle. So it's all kind of figured out for you, which is always great. Then we have this yarn here. I always like to get the inside of the yarn. It has a cleaner way of dispensing your yarn. So I'll just go in here randomly and grab a clump, you know, and then we're looking for the other end. So eventually we're going to use all this. So like, oh, you just pulled out a chunk. Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But when you do, you just use it up. And then after you use that little chunk up, then you're left with just this. And it's so easy to pull. So that's a little tip if you did not know that yet. All right. So I'm going to put this aside here. We're going to obviously be using this. And then in the instructions, these aren't bad. They can get confusing. I don't, you know, as much as I should, I don't read the instruction. I'll read a book to no end. But I can't read instructions. Maybe if it was the first time, you know. But anyway, so if you don't read them, they do have illustrations, which I think is great. It's just also looking at the illustrations for me that's confusing. So for some people, like I'm guessing my viewers, they're better off with video. So, you know, we're going to do that. All right. So in these booklets, they come with a built-in ruler, which I think is really awesome because I do have a tape measure and I do have a ruler, but I gotta go open a drawer for that. And yes, that's pretty lazy, but this is even lazier and it's great. I'm all about that. All right, so let's get into this. These kits only use the knit stitch. So if you are a beginner in knitting, the most difficult part is probably getting the first stitches onto your needle. Otherwise, it's the same stitch until, you know, from start to finish, and then you have to sew the pieces together. All right, so let me get myself situated here, and then we will begin. So we are going to be making, it looks like 2 rectangles, which is amazing. All these other ones I've been doing lately have been a lot of rectangles. Okay. So we're going to have to start with a 22-inch tail. So what you want to do is grab your yarn, just hold it at the end of the ruler here, and we're going to count off that measurement. Okay, I'm going to keep pinching that location of tail that they wanted, that piece of tail they wanted. All right, we're gonna take the tail, that's the end of the yarn here, we're gonna just throw it over the desk because we want that out of the way. I'm gonna switch hands, keeping that pinch so that we don't lose that mark there, and just switch it back to the same hand I had, because now we are going to make our first slip knot, and this is an easier way to not deal with any of these right now. So what you want to do is pinch this tightly at the tail mark, and then we're going to take the middle and ring finger and you're going to hold the other end apart. You can keep this kind of loose so that we can pull on this. So what you want to do is take your 2 fingers here, put it just under the yarn. You want to pull up with your 2 fingers. We're going to twist it and turn. So turn your fingers down. We're going to cause this loop action here. Then you want to take your index and middle finger and you want to grab the yarn and pull it through that loop. So now you have a huge loop that we have to tighten up, and you want to tighten it up as close to the thumb as possible. So what you want to do is pull the yarn and keep pinching this end. You don't want that to go. It's okay if this moves, but not the pinched end. So I'm just going to keep pulling on this yarn until that knot gets tighter and tighter, close to the thumb, until I can't pull on it anymore. Then what you can do is take your thumb and index and pull out the tail end to tighten that knot just a little bit more. Okay, not too tight. Now I'm going to hold the knot with this index and thumb, and do not pull the tail end. We still have that draped over your desk out of the way, or workstation, at least down here. The feeder yarn is up here. You want to pull on the feeder yarn to make this loop more manageable. So keep pulling on it while gripping this knot. If you grip it too tightly, you won't be able to pull it. So just gauge that pressure you put on that knot. And then I'm going to stop once I know I can fit a couple of needles in here. Okay, so there are two ways. I'm going to change up my videos a bit. There are two ways to get stitches onto your needle in the beginning. Like I said, this will probably be the hardest part. You can do it one or two ways. I'm going to show you the easier way, but I feel like it comes out funky later, and I'll show you after I do it the first way. I'm going to unravel it and then do it the way that I like to do it. Alright, so what you do is you can take your 2 fingers again. Here's your feeder yarn. What you're going to want to do is just hold on to the yarn. We're going to do what we did before. Just pull it up, twist it down. But now we're going to throw this little loop onto the needle and pull on the feeder yarn like that. It's really that simple. So I'm going to do this 2 more times for you guys. So you want to put your 2 fingers under the feeder yarn. We're going to go up and twist it down. We have this loop now. You're going to throw that up onto your needle and pull the feeder yarn. So now we have 3 loops on here. Let's do this one more time. So again, take your 2 fingers, pull up. We're going to twist down to create this little loop, and you're going to throw it up on your needle and pull the feeder yarn. Alright, so you can rewind it as many times as you need to, but meanwhile, I want to show you why I don't like it. So I'm going to show you how to do this knit stitch, don't worry, but I just want to show you what happens when you do it this way. It's just a little bit more slack than I prefer when I throw up stitches like that. So I'll explain this, but I'm going to do 1 stitch, okay? And then when I do it, there's this really long distance. It evens out eventually somehow, but like the end will be a little looser than all the other rows that we do. But I'm just showing you, whenever you do a row after this, there's always this huge gap that I'm just not used to. I'm sure there's other ways to throw stitches on here initially so that this doesn't happen, but that's just the way I know, and I am limited to my skill, but I'm just here trying to decipher instructions for you guys. But yeah, see at the tail end it does kind of even out, but it's a little loose. So that's how you can do it that way. And again, I'll show you how to do the next steps, but I was just showing how to throw up stitches onto the needle without using 2 needles. Now I'm just going to show you how to do the stitches with 2 needles. And this is going to kind of be a pre-course, I don't even know what to say, to the knit stitch. Alright, so what we're going to want to do if you're doing it this way is put your second needle into the same hole. Alright, so in the knit stitch, our stance, our starting point is going to be like this. You want to X your needles, and you want the, if you know, and this is all right-handed stuff. Left-handed is different. Opposite, pretty much. So if you are right-handed, the right needle is at the back and the left needle is in the front, and you want to cross it like this. So you want to make an X, and this is how you'll start every time you want to do a knit stitch. Now you can gather up as much yarn as you want around your finger. If you've not seen my videos, I do that. You can be daintier and not do that. That's all up to you. But anyway, so what we're going to do, I'm going to hold my tail yarn off to the side so that I don't accidentally, you know, use it. But anyway, holding with one hand, I have my X. So with a knit stitch, it's always going to be from back to forward over the right needle and down. You're going to feel it snap, you're going to hear it snap, and I don't know if you heard that. But anyway, so when we're at this point here, you want it like this, right? So we did I'll do this one more time, back to front and down. You always want to keep your needles touching all the time. All right, unless you're taking a break, obviously. But anyway, I'm going to slide the left needle over the right needle. And as I'm doing this, this point of the right needle is going to pull the feeder yarn through this loop. So slide the left needle over the right needle. And if you keep it touching all the time, it's going to force that feeder yarn through the loop. And now you've created this new one on the right. See that? So to add stitches to the left, we're going to throw this up on the left needle by just slipping your left needle through that loop, and then we're going to pull it off the right needle altogether. So now we have the 2 stitches. All right, so to do this again, you're going to stick your needle into the new loop that we just put on here, like that. We're going to go into our knitting stance, which is the X, with the right needle behind the left needle. Now I'm just going to hold this with one hand. For knit stitch, we're going to go back to forward and down. Hear it snap or feel it snap. Okay. You want a situation like this. Keep your needles touching. We're going to slide the left needle over the right needle, and that's going to force the right needle to pull the feeder yarn through that loop like that. And now we've created a new loop. So we got to throw this up on the left needle. So take your left needle and just stick it through that loop. And you can hold back these other ones if you don't want them to slip off. Okay. Then we're just going to pull it off the right needle all together. So now we have 3. So let me show you one more time, you guys, how to do this. So stick your needle. Ooh, hold on. My holder just fell. Okay. I was filming something different and I had to move stuff around and that thing just totally slipped. All right. We're going to stick our needle into the new loop like this. Go into your knitting stance with an X, right needle in the back, left needle in the front. For a knit stitch, we're always going to go back to forward and down. Hear it snap or feel it snap. Okay. You want a situation like this. Then we're going to slide the left needle over the right needle. And the right needle is going to force that feeder yarn through the loop. Just keep it touching. And now we have our new loop. We're going to throw this up on the left needle. So you can hold these away from the point so you don't lose them. But you want to stick your left point into the new loop we just created, and then slip it off the right needle altogether. So now we have 4. Now what you're going to want to do is just repeat the same steps until you get all the stitches on there. So if you need to speed up or slow down the video, there's a gear button in the corner. Click on that. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me speak anymore, you can lower the volume on your device, and then there's a CC closed caption button. You can pause the video, rewind it, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do the remaining required stitches for our first rectangle. I might have to take a little pause. I don't know what's going on my computer, but it's bleeping at me every 2 seconds. Let's see. All right, so let me just be right back. I gotta see what's bleeping over there. All right, crisis averted. All right, so once you get all these stitches on here, I'm going to show you now how to do the next row. Okay, so what we're going to do, and in case you're wondering, let's zoom in here. This is what it would look like, and mind you, this is years of doing this, so mine are going to be a lot tighter and uniform. If you're a beginner, it's okay if it's all wonky. It kind of will work itself out in the end. The only thing you have to make sure of is that you don't accidentally put the needle through the yarn. You don't want to pierce it, because then that will make things look messy, and then if you need to undo anything, it'll make it difficult. All right, so to do the next row, we have the stitches on the left, and the idea is to get them all on the right. So whenever you start a row, you should have, if you're a righty, you should have your stitches in your left, and then work your way to make them on your right. If you are a lefty, just make pretend this isn't on here. If you're a lefty, you want your stitches on your right, and you want to finish off with them on your left. So everything that I'm doing for righty is the opposite for lefty. Although if you really do need a lefty video, you can also request that as well. All right, so let's start our next row. So what you're going to do is stick your needle into the first loop on this left needle here, like that. Okay, we're going to go into our knitting stance with this X, right needle in the back, left needle in the front, and then we're going to do the feeder yarn back to front again, and then down. You're going to feel or hear it snap, and you're going to want it to look like this. You want to always keep your needles clenching or touching. We're going to slide the left needle over the right needle, forcing the right needle to pull the feeder yarn through this loop. So let's do that now. Just like that. Now we have a new loop onto our right needle. Now, because we are now doing the next row, we're no longer throwing up stitches onto this left needle. What we need to do is slide that loop that we just used off the left needle, and that's it. So remove that one loop off the left needle like that. So another tip to make sure you're doing this right, whatever number of stitches are on the left, you want to end up having the same number of stitches on the right. And if you have something like this, it should at least total the same number of stitches you started with. And then as far as lefty goes, it's, you know, the opposite. All right, opposite sides. All right, so then I'm going to do this again for you guys. Stick your hook, your needle now into the next loop on the left needle like this. You want to go into your knitting stance, right needle in the back, left needle in the front. We're going to take our feeder yarn and we're going to go back to forward and down. You can feel or hear it snap. Ooh, that one made a snap that time. All right, and then we're going to slide the left needle over the right needle, and the right needle is going to force the feeder yarn through that loop, creating your new stitch. And then we're going to slide this loop here off the left needle like that. So now we have 2 stitches on the right and the remaining on the left. One more time with you guys. So stick your needle into the next loop on the left needle like that. We're going to go into our knitting stance here. We're going to go back to forward and down. Feel or hear it snap. Ooh, they're snapping now. And it's going to look like this. We're going to slide the left needle over the right, keeping both of them touching. The right needle is going to force the feeder yarn through that loop like that, creating the new loop on your right needle. So now we just have to remove this loop off the left needle. Let's do that. All right. So now we have 3 stitches on the right and the remaining on the left. So now what I'm going to do, you can rewind, you can pause. I'm just going to finish the rest of this row. The idea, like I said, is to do the same stitch until you finish all the stitches on the left needle. And, you know, the more you do this, the more practice you get in, you're going to be able to go faster, and it's going to get to where you don't even have to look, because if it's the same stitch, it kind of like autopilots the whole thing. You can feel it, you can sense it. I've made so many scarves, so that's why I can. So if you don't do it right off the bat, that's okay. You know, you're starting out. It won't be that easy. All right. So now this is what it looks like, in case you're wondering. Okay, it's an extra row longer. You should have the same number of stitches on your needle. Okay, so like I said, we finished off with all the stitches on our right, and now there's no more stitches on our left. What to do? So what we're going to do is we're going to switch hands. We're going to flip the right needle over to the left, and you want to keep your feeder yarn down. Okay, don't pull it up like that, because if you look at it, it looks like you're now creating a second stitch. I used to do that when I started out, and it kept adding. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like a skirt. So when you flip it, keep it down. Eventually we're going to keep it back, but keep it down. And then the left needle, you just hold on with your right. So now we're back to square one, like this was maybe 10 minutes ago. And what we're going to do is just the next row. So the same set of instructions, just starting all over. And that's it, you guys. You can end up making a scarf this way. Just put enough stitches and keep doing the same knit stitch. That's why it's the most basic and most used, I feel. And once you learn this one stitch, you can create a lot of things. With the right yarn, you can make coasters for hot pots. You can create runners for a table. You can create scarves, like I said. And if you want to go nuts, go make a blanket. You're going to need a lot bigger, a special needle, actually. A set of needles for it, but that's a different video. But anyway, so we're just going to repeat the same thing. So just for this one time's sake, I'm going to do 3 stitches with the new row, and then I'm going to complete the rest in silence, and then you can do what have you with this video, rewind it, slow it down, speed it up, turn it off. But yeah, so we're going to do the first loop here. Stick your needle in, get into your X position for the knit stitch. Then we're going to yarn over, back to front and down, hear it snap or feel it snap. Then we're going to slide the left over the right, forcing the loop, the feeder yarn through the loop, creating a new stitch on the right. And we're going to slip that loop off the left needle. All right, again, into the next stitch, get into your knitting stance. We're going to go back to forward with the feeder yarn and down, feeling it snap, sliding the left needle over the right, forcing the feeder yarn through the loop, and then we're going to remove that loop off the left needle. One more time with you guys. Into the next loop, get into your knitting stance. We're going to go back to forward and down, feeling it snap, and sliding the left over the right, forcing the feeder yarn through that loop. Oh, did I lose it? No, it's right there. And then slip off this loop off the left needle. I'm like looking through the screen, so. All right, we got 3 here. We're just gonna complete the rest of the stitches like I did before, and you can do the same as well. And then I'm going to show you how to flip it one more time. And then I'm going to be finishing the rest in silence. And while we're here real quick, I do have currently 5 more kits after this. If you've seen the unboxing, then you know what's in it. There might be an extra from what you haven't seen, but I am going to do all of them, so please be patient. Oh. Alright, so this is what it looks like right now. It looks a little bit longer. But what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over to the left side and switch the left needle to the right. Remember, keeping this yarn down, because you see how we ended up here. You don't want to hold it up. It's going to look like we have an extra loop on here. So you want to make sure this is down and back. And we're going to start our next row in silence. I am going to go ahead though and gather some more yarn. Like I put this much on there. Like I said, I really put a lot, so we're going to be like really loading up my finger. You don't have to do it that way. That's just how I like to do it. Alright, so I knitted the length that it was requiring for me to do. So now I'm going to show you guys how to cast off. So what we're going to do is knit 2 stitches onto the right needle. So let's do that now. Knit 1 and knit 2. Then what we're going to do is take our left needle, we're going to put it in the first stitch that we made here, and we're going to leapfrog it over the second one and then off the right needle, keeping the second one still on there. And then we can let go with the left needle. So now we just have 1 stitch left. So every time we do this, we have to have at least 2 stitches onto our right needle. So let's knit 1 again. So go into here and knit 1. Right, so now we have 2 stitches on our right again. We're going to insert our needle into this loop here, and we're going to leapfrog it over the next one, and then off the right needle, and then off the left needle. So we are back to 1 stitch on our right needle. We're going to go back into putting our needle into the next stitch on our left needle. We're going to knit 1, and so now we have 2 stitches on our right needle. We're going to take this one here and leapfrog it over the next one, off the right needle, and then off the left needle. And then just one more time with you guys. So let's knit another one here. Now we have 2 stitches on our right needle. We're going to leapfrog this loop over the next, off the right needle, and then off the left needle. So we're going to keep repeating this technique to cast off until you have the last stitch remaining on the right needle, and then I'm going to show you how to cast off that one. So let's continue going down the line here. Okay, last one. Alright. So we're going to cast off. It doesn't really say what we need in terms of length, so I'm just going to cut about 1 inch or so. And then what I'm going to do is we're just going to yarn over our right needle like this. So we have this piece here, just yarn over. I'm going to take the left needle and we're going to leapfrog this loop over our yarn over. So off the right needle, off the left. So we have this loop left. We're going to pull it all the way out, and then we're going to tighten up that loop to create a knot, and then we can set this piece aside and make the next rectangle. So for the next rectangle, let's see here. Alright, the funny thing about the next rectangle is that it doesn't have a tail length, so I guess we're just using the tail from the first one to sew everything in. So what we're going to try to do is the bare minimum to create least waste. So take your ring, pinky, and thumb and hold one end. Then take your index and middle finger and hold the other. we're going to make sure that this is very tight and then this one is kind of loose, because we're going to do our 2 fingers. We're going to come up from underneath the yarn here, push up, we're going to turn and twist down, creating this loop. Then with my index and middle, we're going to grab this yarn here and pull it through the loop like that. So now what we're going to do, repinch this end. You don't want to lose it, but we're going to tighten this knot, and I'm going to try to tighten it as close to the thumb as I possibly can. Alright, so once you get to a point where you can't push the knot down any further, then what we're going to do is pull this piece just to make the knot a little bit more snug. You don't have to pull it super hard, but now we're going to grab the knot and we're going to pull on the feeder yarn to make this a more manageable size. Alright, then I'm going to stick my needles in here. You can stick the one needle and do the twist method, the hand manual, I don't know what to call it, or you can use your other needle, which is what I'm going to do. So what you're going to want to do now is cast on the number of stitches the instructions are requiring you to do. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so once you get all the stitches onto your needle, we're going to continue to build our rows until we reach the required length for this rectangle, and then I'm going to come back in and show you again how to cast off, but I'm going to be doing the rest in silence. All right, so I got it the length that it needs to be. We're going to cast off. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Again, we're going to knit 2 stitches. Okay, we're going to leapfrog this loop over the next loop, off the right, and then off the left needle. Then we're going to knit another stitch and leapfrog this loop over the next loop, off the right needle and off the left needle. I'm going to knit another stitch. Oops. Knit another stitch. We're going to lift this loop over the next, off the right needle and off the left needle. So we're going to keep doing this until we reach our last stitch on our right needle. And then I'm going to show you again how to fasten off the last stitch. Okay. So again, I'm just gonna like cut an inch or so off of here. And then we're gonna do a yarn over, right? So we're gonna yarn over the needle. I'm gonna leapfrog this loop over the yarn over. Pull it off the left needle. We're gonna pull this out all the way and then tighten up the knot. Okay, so now we have this. This is a little tight here, so it's curling. I was pulling on it. I've been so relaxed. But anyway, when we sew this, it's gonna hopefully even itself out. But so now we're going to be sewing everything together, and what they want you to do is to fold the larger rectangle, and then we're going to be sewing the pieces, this piece around it. Okay, Alright, so let's thread up our needle. And ideally, you want to start at one end of the strip here. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna weave this so that I can get to this area here. Or actually, we can kind of line this up to where I'll just follow the line. That way I don't waste any, because I don't know how long this is going to be. You can always cut more white yarn to finish sewing this off, but I'm going to try not to do that. So just try to line this up. Okay. And then we're stitching around the edges. So what that means is we're going to be going this way. I'll show you. Right, I'm not a sewer, but we're making these loops go over the edge to cover it. Alright, so we're going to do this all the way around. And I'm going to do this in silence. Alright, so I had to tie another piece. I ran out of that tail. I left a little opening because we're going to be putting in some stuffing. So I had purchased 32 ounces of stuffing and still have it. So it's a lot of stuffing. I got it off of Amazon. I'm just going to take some of it now and just place this in here. You want to try watch like how much you put in, because it's supposed to be a flat sandwich. So I'm going to try to spread this out to where it's not too, like, it'll lie more flat, I guess. And there's actually a hole here. I'm going to put this here. Okay. And then we're just going to finish sewing this up. Try not to grab some of this stuffing when you're sewing, because it's going to pull out of your project and then it's going to look kind of messy. But yeah, we're just going to finish this up here. And once we reach the other side, we're going to find a moment to tie a knot. Okay. And then to hide this, I'm just going to fish this through to some random spot on the opposite side. Pull this all the way out. Okay, then we're going to take our scissor and we're going to cut this flush to the sandwich, the ice cream part. And then when you squish it down, that end will disappear, and you can take this opportunity to squish that stuffing to make it look more rectangular. Okay. Alright, and this is how much white I have left. So comment below, let me know if you have leftovers. Alright, on to the next step. We're going to be taking our felt pieces. Okay, we've got our cookie pieces here. So I'm going to need more yarn because we're going to be sewing this onto our ice cream. Okay. All right, let me see. I'm going to do a little trick. So we are going to, let me see, hold on a sec. Alright, so they just have you do like a line down here. So if that's the case, I'm going to do a little trick. You don't have to do it this way. You can either tie a knot on one end and then just finish off the other. But I'm going to do this to where you only have to tie a knot on one side and not both. So I halved my piece here. And I'm going to put both ends into the needle. Alright, and I'm going to kind of leave it like this. Now what we're gonna do is put our first piece. Oh my gosh, this looks like an overloaded. Anyway, so we kind of can guesstimate somewhere around here. So I'm going to put my needle into that location where we saw that perforated hole. I'm going to stick this through, and then there's a little loop here. I'm going to stick the needle through the loop and then pull it. It creates its own knot. That way you don't have to tie a knot. Alright, then you can come in here and start sewing up your sandwich. Alright, so we're just gonna go in and down like this. Stick into the next hole. Now line this up with your sandwich. Stick your needle into that hole. We're going to lift that sandwich piece, and you're going to take a look at where this is. We're going to go around one stitch right here. So we're going to pull this, and because it's around a stitch, we can go back into the same hole right here. Make sure that you don't pierce the yarn, that you're going through the hole and not through the yarn. And that's going to create this. So I probably pulled a little too hard. Okay. Then we're just going to go into the next hole. And again, make sure you just line it up. And then put your needle straight down. You're going to lift this sandwich off and take a look where it's at. You're going to want to go around one stitch. Okay. Pull this all the way out, and then we're going to go back into that same hole, making sure you clear the hole and not put it through the yarn. And we're going to just, I'll show you this one more time. Okay, line your sandwich up with your ice cream. You're going to put your needle straight down. Then we're going to lift the sandwich and see where this is at. We're going to go around one stitch and then pull this out. Okay. Then we can go back into that hole. And we're just going to continue all the way down. Okay, last one. Okay, so now for this one, actually, I'm actually just gonna stick this through and come up through the other side. Just want to make sure I mean, I'm coming up near the same kind of spot. Let me just see first. I want to be able to line this up. So we have to center these sandwiches on each other. I'm going back into the ice cream and coming out the sandwich here. And we're going to go the other way. Okay, so start doing the same process on this side. Okay, we're on to our last one. So we're gonna have to find somewhere to tie our knot now. But at least we didn't have to worry about the first knot. So I'm just gonna find a spot here. I'm actually gonna go in this way and I'll tie it back here just so that we can keep like an even squish on the sandwich, on the ice cream. See, because right now this one's kind of down, this one's kind of just like, I don't know what it's doing really. All right, so just find your moment to tie your knot. Okay, then I'm just gonna go into a random spot and come out through another random spot. Pull this through. I'm going to cut this off flush to the ice cream and then give it a nice squish. Okay. So this is our ice cream sandwich so far. Alright. So now what we're going to do is attach our feet. Oh my gosh. What am I on? It came with stuffing. Yeah, sorry. You're probably like wondering what the heck am I talking about. It came with stuffing. I didn't use it, which might explain that there's too much on here. Alright, well, I can save this for another one if I choose to make another one. Sorry, it is late and I'm like half asleep. Okay, now we have to attach the feet. So they bend these ends to protect you from poking yourself. So we just gotta undo these. And then we're gonna fish these into the sandwich part of our ice cream. What I want to do is maybe find a spot that looks a little nicer. So just pick the nicer side. Here you can kind of see it wobbling. Here it's kind of covered. But maybe we're going to actually just use this side here. So it doesn't really tell you where to put them in, but the illustrations kind of show you. So I'm going to fish this in somehow. Oh my gosh. Poke the end of the pipe cleaner in and out of the bottom edge of Sammy. Alright. This is insanity. And then just try to find your other way out. This is not ideal. Maybe you can use your needles to kind of help guide you. I'm gonna go through and pick up some of these stitches here and maybe try to make a hole for the pipe cleaner to go through. Yeah. So I'm just lifting some of these stitches so that I can slide my pipe cleaner. And then we're going to bend this, try to make it even. Okay. And I'm going to make kind of like a V. Man, a little disappointed that I totally screwed up on the stuffing. I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, now we have to take our feet. So pull them out of the square here, or rectangle. And then we have to thread the feet into the holes. So I don't know, you come up from underneath. Based on the illustration, it looks like you're coming up from underneath. And then you're going to go back down into it. And we're going to just fold this kind of closed. It's so hard to see the colors here. And then in the actual picture, it has something completely different. So we're going to come up from underneath. Oh, we did. We're going to come up from over. So this time we're going to go over and then come up through the bottom, and we're just going to, I guess, twist it a little bit. Alright, so we have our first foot in, and then we're going to do this again. We're going to go over the feet and then under, and then we're going to close it and kind of twist it. Okay. So we have the feet, and then we we gotta stick on the eyes and mouth. So let's take the mouth out. And the mouth seems to be like in the middle of everything, so I'll put this right in the middle. And then I'm going to try to pinch this sticker and hold it for a few seconds to make sure that the surface sticks onto everything. And just to secure it, you could take a smaller needle and embroidery floss and just sew the edges, but I'm not going to do that. And then we're going to do the eyes. Okay, so the eyes are going to go a little bit above the mouth here. So we're going to put one down and we're going to hold it onto the yarn, pinch it for a few seconds. And then we'll do the other one. And we're going to want to try to situate it same position as the other side. Pinch it. Okay. So here's our ice cream sandwich, you guys. Ooh, nice, and it stands up on its own. Love that. Comment below, let me know how it went. I think this is pretty cute. I totally screwed up. And used my own stuffing. Okay, so now we've done another knit kit. I've got 5 more left to go. So thank you so much for your patience with this, you guys. I do have a running list, so no worries. I will be doing all of them. Thank you again. Click on that notification bell so you don't miss a video. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.